Welcome to Table Flippers Podcast, an outreach of Greater Works Christian Church here in Lancaster, California. I am your host, Robert Enos. If you like what you hear, visit us at gwcclancaster.org. That's gwcclancaster.org. Find the Table Flippers link, click on it, and you'll get to our merchandise. Now, get ready for a huge dose of truth and a huge dose of common sense.
Do you know where they get Bud Light? From the squirrels. Every time a squirrel flushes the toilet, another can of Bud Light.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back, at least until Thursday. I'm going to be in town. This has been a busy season for my wife and I. We've been traveling around, taking care of business inside and outside of the country. But we're back, at least for a few days. And I want to talk to you about something. I don't have really any articles that I want to read. However, there's going to be some articles I'm going to reference. So maybe I'll be able to, if I remember, put the articles in the description section for this episode so that you can read them if you'd like to. But I want to talk to you about this saga. This seems like never-ending saga of this transgender nonsense that's going on in our culture and society. And remember, we saw what happened with Bud Light, the Budweiser company, Bud Light, how they partnered with Dylan Mulvaney. Dylan Mulvaney, and I don't think that's his real name, but Dylan Mulvaney is a biological male, and I'm just going to describe it the way I see him, okay? And I'm not trying to be offensive in any way. Honestly, I'm just trying to give you a description. So if you can imagine somebody that appears, at least to me, I don't know how tall this guy is, but let's say 5'6" to maybe 5'8", somewhere in there. But kind of skinny, twerpy dude. You know, didn't have much going for him to begin with. So I guess he decided to be a woman. And now, ladies, I apologize because that just sounded like I put down women. I didn't put down women. I put down him, this Dylan Mulvaney, because somebody who has the mental capacity or the mental illness that makes him a biological male think that he's a woman is sick. Just the same way it would be when a biological female thinks that she is a man. That's sick. That's a mental illness. And so, anyways, Bud Light starts to work with Dylan Mulvaney. That's what do they call him? Social influencer, I believe is what they call them. You know, people that get on, whether it be YouTube or podcasts or whatever, or TikTok now, I guess is the big one, and they influence the culture and the world around them with all their videos and their discussions. And it could be anything from serious or, sort of serious teaching to just people being goofy like this Dylan Mulvaney. If you've seen any of his videos, especially the ones where he's wearing Nike sports bras, yes, ladies and gentlemen, even Nike jumped into the mix and asked Dylan Mulvaney to say, hey, won't you parade around in our sports bras and help us sell them? So here's a man in a sports bra. Now, mind you, he has nothing to put in those sports bras. He's a skinny, twerpy male wearing a sports bra. I was offended for you ladies. You will, all ladies out there, you should be offended, absolutely offended at Nike and stop buying their products. You should be absolutely offended at Budweiser and stop using their products. And any other company, even, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Tampax of all companies was working with Dylan Mulvaney. Here's a dude that will never, ever need a Tampax, and yet he's out there parading around with his Tampax, in his hand, of course, and trying to help the Tampax company sell tampons, feminine products. This is how crazy and ridiculous all these woke companies, which is most of them, woke companies have become. That they'll hire a skinny, twerpy man that doesn't even look like a female, other than the makeup that he puts on. He doesn't look like a female. He doesn't have the body for a female. He doesn't have anything for a female other than the makeup. And it's unfortunate, ladies and gentlemen, how we have entered into an era where hairstyle and makeup are the only things that a person needs to determine whether or not they're a man or a woman, or in this case, a woman. And sometimes it's not even that. You look at the Leah Thompson issue with Kylie Rains, how the swimmer, Kylie Rains, was robbed of her trophy and position for winning a swimming competition, a women's swimming competition, because this so-called Leah Thompson, which is actually a biological male, was allowed to swim in a women's competition, and he won. Actually, the real story behind this, ladies and gentlemen, I just found this out this past week, that he didn't actually win. What happened was this biological male that goes by the name Leah Thompson and Kylie Rains, a real female, swam against each other, and they tied. It was an exact tie down to the 100th of a second. And they told Kylie Gaines, we need this photo op. We need him to get the trophy and make the win. Why? Because they're kissing up to all the LGBT crew and the whole wokeism crowd instead of just truth. So they robbed a real woman and gave her trophy and her title to a fake woman, all in the name of this transgenderism and wokeism. You tell me, ladies and gentlemen, have we really progressed as a society when we don't even know what a man and a woman is, and biological males winning against biological female in female competitions, and it's supposed to be a good thing? This is supposed to be a wonderful thing. Whatever happened to feminism? I don't know how, ladies and gentlemen, but it's like the modern feminists are the ones behind this. They're really behind, and I have something to ask you, ladies, and I don't mean just the feminists out there or those who claim to be. All women, how are you standing up for this? How are you putting up with this? When any woman, here's what, in my opinion, should have happened. Now, the story with Kylie Rains was kind of an interesting one because they didn't understand what was going on. They really did not understand what was going on, what was behind the whole thing, who this Leah Thompson was, and nothing like that. And it was just like thrust upon them. Okay, but now we know. So ladies out there, here's my suggestion to you. If you're in any kind of sports, and I mean even if you're just playing, say, like a softball league from your local park, or a church league or something of that nature. Number one, you should ask, are biological men allowed to play in this? And if they say yes, every woman should turn around and walk away and say, listen, when you change that rule and you make sure that we're playing only against women, we're not going to touch this. And maybe go start your own league. You say, well, that's a lot of work. Of course it's a lot of work, but that's how you fix things. But I wouldn't play that game. Not at all. Not at all. I wouldn't play that game at all. It's ridiculous. So anyways, back to this. So we have the Dylan Mulvaney working with Bud Light. And what happened was, it's sad to me that we've had this issue for some time with very little backlash from, normal people with a brain, people with common sense. Very little backlash. I mean, there was a lot of talk. If you go into places and you talk among your friends, a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of people are upset. A lot of people were frustrated on that, I don't know, you can call it ground level. But few were willing to do anything about it or raise their voice because they didn't want to be labeled. They didn't want to be labeled homophobe. They didn't want to have a target put on their back. And we'll talk about Target in just a minute. They did not want to have a target put on their back for these groups to come against and speak against them and such. So then they touched their beer. And keep in mind, these people have been coming for our children for a long time. They've been getting this nonsense into our schools, even into the curriculum of our schools. Books and such are being read to our children that describe all this perversion and nonsense. But it wasn't until they touched their beer that people rose up and said enough is enough. Now, they are already coming. Now, I was listening to a podcast earlier, and this is a guy that I really like. I really enjoy. He has a lot of great things to say. But his commentary was, it wasn't until they started coming after the kids that people rose up. And I have to disagree with him. It wasn't until they came after their beer. I'm just being honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. There was some backlash, but very little. until they hit the Bud Light. And then when people saw the Dylan Mulvaney videos and it started going viral, but not in a good way, in a way that Bud Light would want, then you know what hit the fan. And people started coming against Budweiser and Bud Light. And now, from what I understand, Bud Light is tanking financially. I just saw a little clip yesterday, as a matter of fact. It was just a short little video clip with the description that there was a country music concert somewhere, and the line that you get into to get some beer or your drinks or your I don't know, nachos or whatever they have at the concert. They had all the glass cases with all the drinks in it, whether it be the beers, the sodas, the Coke, Pepsi, whatever, and all of that. And the section that had the Budweiser, all the Budweiser products, Bud Light, Budweiser, all that, was not even touched. It was still completely full. And the other side, they had to keep restocking because people kept buying the other beers. And so this is the way it's been in many cases and in many places. I remember we were in Nashville, and my daughter chuckled, and she says, because she went and did a little bit of line dancing somewhere, and she came back and she says, it's funny, a lot of people be drinking in that place, and the only person drinking Bud Light was a woman. And I told her, are you sure it was a woman? She said everybody else refused it, and they just can't give this stuff away hardly at all. And now it's become a joke. It's become memes, and they're tanking financially. And I think it's fantastic. Finally, Americans are waking up to this perversion. But why did it have to take touching the beer? You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyways, and then Target comes along. The Target people come along, and they're looking at all of this going on with Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light tanking. And, there's this running joke, hold my beer, because I'm going to show you how it's really done. And they kind of did the hold my beer thing. And they actually started a line of clothing, Pride clothing, for Pride Month. Now, before I get to the clothing aspect of the Pride Month, I believe my wife is trying to sneak in very quiet here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in my private studio, and here she is trying to sneak in, and she's making a big old fuss over here. Okay. My wife just slipped out, and she just came to grab her dog, and she slipped out, and now I'm back. Anyways, where was I? Almost forgot where I was. So, Target, of all places, the department store Target is selling clothing for Pride, not just Pride Month. Target's always been real weird, left-leaning. They grab hold of these fringe weird things and they go with it. But anyway, so now they're selling Pride clothing, but it's not just that they're selling Pride clothing, for Pride Month and aimed at the LGBT community and people who are into that. They're selling it to, and they're aiming at children. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, children. What, or why, I should say, why are children? Well, I know why, and if you know why children are the target, because they're the next generation of perversion, if you can get them into that. And so they're targeting our children in our schools, and now Target. So Target, it's kind of, this is so weird, ladies and gentlemen. This is weird to me. Can it get more weird? Every time I ask that question, I kind of cringe, because it's like, yes, they can. I don't know how, but they can, because every time somebody asks that question, something new comes out. So anyways, Target is not just selling, like a t-shirt with a rainbow on it that says Pride or something like that. I'm sure they do that, but they're selling now bathing suits, okay? Women's bathing suits with a little extra tuck room, as I read this, so that you can hide your stuff, that men can hide their stuff. So I want you to think about this for just a moment. So they're not just selling women's bathing suits for women. Now they're now selling women's bathing suits to men and even boys, because they're targeting children, with a little secret pocket in the crotch. And as John Cooper from Skillet said, so you can tuck your junk in there to hide it. I assume to look more feminine. I guess. But again, this is targeted at children. Get it? Targeted at children. They are aiming at children. They want children. They want parents to come and buy this for their children. They want parents to come in and buy girls' bathing suits with a little tuck room and tuck pocket, so their little boys can tuck their stuff in there and prance around like girls. In other words, what it seems to me is Target, whether it be Budweiser, Target, Nike, Tampax, they want all the males in our society to be like Dylan Mulvaney. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have 2 sons, and thank God they understand that they are not just biological men, but they are men, okay? They don't... I am so glad. I thank Jesus. I really do. I thank God. I thank Jesus that my boys are that. They know that they're men. They're not into all this weird perversion. And I thank God that my daughters are real women, both of them beautiful. They're not into all this weird perversion. As a matter of fact, they stand against it. It's disgusting to them. But, I just be honest with you. There was a little clip of a mom who, after some of this controversy broke out, because a lot of people came against Target and says, hey, forget it. We're just not going to buy at Target. So what Target did, and they lost a lot of money, upwards of like $10 billion in 10 days. All right. I didn't know Target made that kind of money that fast, but 10 billion with a B in 10 days. And so what they did is they didn't get rid of all this pride stuff. They moved it to the back into a little bit more secret hideaway place in the store, but they still are selling it. So if you want your perverted clothing, you can still go to Target and you'll be right on target for buying your perversion. But they didn't get rid of it. They put it to the back of the store, right? So this mom does this little video. She walks into Target and she's like, where's my pride stuff? Where's the pride stuff? Her 4-year-old, she claims to have a 4-year-old non-binary son, boy, if she can even call him that, male, I guess, a little male child. And she claims, or maybe he was 7. I'm sorry, 7. I think she said 7. So her 7-year-old male child, who's supposed to be non-binary, was upset and hurt that his pride clothing, the stuff that meant something to him, was no longer out front. What do people like me do, Mommy? What do people like? Where do I go, Mommy? And she was like, my son, he needs his pride. He needs his little rainbow outfit. He needs his girl's bathing suit with a little tuck room. Now, I don't know that she said all that, but she was whiny. She was just mad, and she was whiny, and she was trying to make everybody feel bad that her little 7-year-old male child couldn't get his female pride clothes unless he walked all the way into the back. And I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of perverted, screwed up, mentally ill parent? 7 years old she was saying her son was, and supposed to be non-binary. At 7 years old, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care. I do not care what little kids think or don't think about their sexuality at 7 years old. At 7 years old, they have no clue. At 7 years old, little boys are, ew, girls, they have cooties. There was that old poem, boys were made out of, what was it? Girls made out of sugar and cinnamon and everything nice and something like that. And little boys were made out of squished up puppy dog tails, something like that. Something like that. But anyways, that's the way little kids think, or when they're left alone to be children. That's the way they think, and that's the way they should think. Why? Because at 7 years old, being sexualized on any level and any way is a perversion, and it's wrong. As a matter of fact, I wish that social services would find that woman and go check out that home, because I can almost guarantee you there's some really weird, sick, perverted things going on in that home for this woman to think that her 7-year-old little boy actually can think of himself as a girl. If he does, then that mom is doing something wicked and perverted, or at least allowing that to her son for him to think this way, because that is not normal, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to think about this. Think about a woman's bathing suit, or in this case, little girl's bathing suit with a tuck pocket so that the little boy or the man can hide his junk. What is going on with our world? What is going on here? And ladies and gentlemen, why aren't there more good, decent people rising up and talking and saying things? Everybody has Facebook and Instagram, and many of you have TikTok, Snapchat. What else is out there? There's MeWe, there's Truth, there's Twitter. Everybody that hears my voice, you should, the moment this episode is over, get onto every social media thing that you have. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok. I don't even know if some of these are even a thing anymore. But TikTok, MeWe, what's some of the rest of them? Oh, Truth, Twitter, all of them. And let your voices be heard about how you feel. This is sick. This is perverted. This is nonsense. Listen, when a child is born, if there's a stem on that apple, that's a boy, period. That stem on the apple should be raised as a boy and expected to grow up and be a man. If there's no stem on the apple, it's a woman, period. End of discussion. That little baby should grow up being treated and expected to act like, think like a girl, okay? And then later, a woman. End of discussion. Biological males should grow to be men. Biological females should grow to be women, period. End of discussion. Anything else is actually perversion and mental illness. Why would you want that for your children? Why would you want that for your culture? Why would you want that for your society? Why would you want them teaching that to your children in the schools? I don't know about you. I don't like perverts teaching perversion to my children or my grandchildren at all. It's disgusting. So when this episode is over, please go straight to Facebook, Instagram, and if you have a number of them, go to all of them. You know, what you can do is type it up, okay? I'm against this, and here's why. Type it up, and then click on it, copy it, then hit send, and then when you go to the next one, all you got to do is the cut and paste, send, cut and paste, send. You know, just paste it, send. Makes it easier. So the same message gets out on all of your social media platforms. That's it. Do it. And when you come across somebody who's done, say, a meme or something of that nature against all this nonsense, like it and share it. Like, comment, share in that order. Hit the little like button, boom, comment, even if it's just like, yes, and then share it. And then we'll get the message out and it'll start spreading. Why is this such a pervasive thing in our society, the LGBT nonsense? Is because they are louder than we are. The perverts are louder than decent people. And we've got to flip that around. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about in regards to all of this nonsense is, ladies and gentlemen, the LA Dodgers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Dodgers baseball team. Let me kind of explain to you a little bit what's going on. All right. The LA Dodgers asked this group of drag, I guess they're performers, called, now get this, Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And what they are is they're a bunch of men dressed as nuns, very provocatively, and they have white makeup all over their face, which I don't know what that's supposed to mean, you know, and they're drag queen, kind of like with a nun vibe, and they call themselves the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've said all along, you know, we see this thing, you know, where we're told, leave the homosexuals alone, leave the LGBT community alone, because love is love, and who are you to say, you know, who that person should or should not love? And I've said all along, no, that's not love, that's lust. That's lust, and that's perversion. And when I heard about the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence and what they did, I didn't even have to know anything more about them except, number one, they're mocking Catholicism, in particular, you know, more specifically, I should say, the nuns in Catholicism, but they're mocking Catholicism. And I just knew this just by, I saw a picture of one of them, just one of them, and then I saw what they call themselves, Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And then when I saw the Perpetual Indulgence, it hit me again. See, I'm right. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is going to sound very arrogant on my part, very prideful on my part, very haughty on my part. But once again, I am correct. And I just wish more people in our culture and society would just get the clue that I am right and just listen to me. Because if that happened right from the get-go, we could overcome a lot of these issues much quicker and maybe not deal with them at all. So, back to the love is love. Listen, when it's done, when you love a person or love someone in a manner that produces something good for culture and society, that's called love. And that love is acceptable. Okay, and what I mean by that is like when a man and a woman, when a mommy and a daddy really love each other and they get married and they come together and make a family and bring children into the world and train those children up to be good members of society. See, then you can say that is true love. But when you have two men, that biologically, okay, and anatomically, the pieces don't fit. They don't work. There's no way that a man can come together with the man and produce life. As a matter of fact, we're always told, follow the science. The true science proves absolutely otherwise. The mental, emotional, and physical breakdown among homosexual relationships is astronomical. It doesn't produce life, it produces death. So you can't call that love regardless of what the people feel. Because love is more than a feeling. But in our day and age, that's why everything is supposed to be based on feelings. Okay? Trying to put somebody's feelings above truth. That's not love, ladies and gentlemen. That's lust. And these drag queens dressed as nuns, they know this. That's why they're the sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And that can be considered or called lust. Or a better word for that, perversion. So there was a little clip of what they do, and they mock, again, Catholicism directly, Christianity, of course, but in one of their, I don't know what they do, entertainment skits. I don't know who gets entertained by this wickedness and this perversion nonsense, but they had a mock Jesus up on a cross, and these nuns were dancing around, of course, provocatively and very sexually. I won't tell you some of the acts that they were doing with one another and with this Jesus that's on the cross, and there's the music and there's all the smoke and all that and everything going around. It's really disgusting and perverted. It's an absolute perversion and mocking Christianity, mocking Jesus Christ, mocking our faith, mocking who you and I are. And so the LA Dodgers, they know this, and they were going to honor, or they're going to honor, the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence on June 16th. Now, that date is very important for a reason. Now, when it was announced that this was going to happen, a lot of conservatives and Catholic groups and Christians rose up and said, no, what are you doing? So they said, oh, we made a mistake. We're not going to do that. And then the Sisters of Perpetual Perverted Indulgence, they got mad and they pushed it, and then LA Dodgers caved in. When I say the Dodgers, not the whole team, because there's actually some good Christian players on that team. So anyways, this is all. Then they said, okay, we're gonna do it again. You're on again. So June 16th, they're supposed to honor the Sisters of Perpetual Perverted Indulgence at Dodger Stadium. Now, what's interesting about what's going on with the Dodgers, their pitcher, Clayton Kershaw, is actually a very strong Christian, and he does missionaries work, and he helps people all over the world. And great guy, from what I understand. I've never met him, but from what I understand, what I know of him, which is very little because I don't really follow sports as much as I used to, but a great guy. He was instrumental in getting Christian Faith and Family Day at Dodger Stadium on June 30th. All right. So he gets this thing going, Christian Faith and Family Day on June 30th. And then whoever else is in charge, or whoever is in charge of all this nonsense, they're going to slap him in the face personally and directly. And then every Catholic and every Christian, really especially in LA County, but in our country and around the globe, because everybody knows the Dodgers. You go to other countries, they know the Dodgers. And they're going to honor these wicked, perverted, transgender, cross-dressing nuns that I mean, you talk, it's like Dodgers, LA, whoever is in charge with the LA Dodgers. What in the world is going on with you? That you are so sick and perverted that in 2 weeks, you're going to have these sisters of perpetual, perverted, disgusting, vile indulgence, mocking Christianity, mocking Catholicism, mocking nuns, and mocking our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And then in 2 weeks from that day, you're going to have the nerve to say, oh, but that's okay because we're going to have Christian Faith and Family Day. I'm really torn here because on one hand, I would tell people, let's go support Clayton Kershaw. Let's go support Christianity and such. Let's go down there and do this. But I can't do that when they're so wicked and vile that just 2 weeks prior, they're going to do that. They're going to have this sisters. They're going to honor, it says, honor the sisters of perpetual, perverted, disgusting, wicked indulgence that mocks Christianity, Catholicism, and our Lord Jesus Christ. I can't be a part of that. I can't be a part of that group. I can't be a part of that. Clayton Kershaw, I appreciate you. And he came out and said what they did was foolish, and he's totally against it. Thank God that even though he's employed by them, he's still standing up and saying, no, this is ridiculous. But I'm sorry, Clayton, but I can't come down there to that place as long as they're that wicked and evil. So here's my suggestion to you, Clayton. My suggestion. If I was you, personally, I wouldn't even show up on that day. Wouldn't show up, just leave. Actually, both of those days. And instead of having Christian Faith and Family Day there at Dodger Stadium at a place that just basically completely dishonored and disrespected you and your belief and your faith, maybe do it somewhere else. Find a park, find another arena, find some place that you can go have a Christian Faith and Family Day. And I can almost guarantee if you put the word out that some top people in the Christian community would come out pro bono and help you with that and open it up to the community, and people would come to support you and to support that outside of Dodger Stadium. I know I would, because this kind of perversion's got to stop. So I'm going to be watching this. But ladies and gentlemen, what in God's name is going on in our country? What in God's name is going on? You guys have heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again. All of this finds its root directly. This is just the fruit, no pun intended. This is the fruit of the Democrat Party and the Democrat policies and the Democrat ideology. This is the fruit of their perversion. That you find this, the roots of all this LGBT wickedness in the Democrat Party. You cannot be a person of faith. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat. It cancels it out. And you cannot be a Catholic. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. Catholics everywhere. You cannot be a Catholic in good standing with God and truthfully in good standing with the church and vote Democrat. You are voting directly against the faith you claim to have. And that cancels out the faith. If you vote Democrat, Christian, if you vote Democrat, Catholic, you're not a Catholic, you're not a Christian. Oh, you can claim it. You can walk around and say, you can put the big cross on. You can wear the rosary with the big crucifix. You can wear the big cross. You can have the fish on your car. But that means nothing. That means nothing. Because when God looks at us, He's looking for a little bit of His Son in us. And Jesus, the Bible says that God is not mocked. Oh, these sisters of perpetual perversion may think they're mocking God. But God is not mocked. God is so much bigger than that. But He's not even looking at them as much as He's looking at His children, waiting for us to rise up and say enough is enough. So what can we do to put a stop to it? Number one, like I said, immediately go to your social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. What else is there? There's MeWe, there's Snapchat. I don't even know if anybody uses some of these anymore. But go to whatever social media platform you use or have. Maybe you don't even use it that often, but you have it. go there and write something. I totally disagree with this, and this is why. This is a perversion against our children. This is a perversion against our country. This is a perversion against our faith, and say that. Could you imagine? I just want you to think about this for just a moment. If in one day, just in one day, let's say somewhere around the neighborhood of 1 million memes and posts go on to Facebook alone, just in one day, from people like you and me. And then people like you and me that maybe don't understand what's going on or whatever, they're reading it, but they can like, comment, and share it as well. So every one of them, if it's articulated well and it gets out there, it's going to be liked, commented, and shared who knows how many times. Now, some of you can even take it a little bit further. Some of you know how to put a little video clip. Get your phone, your camera, and do it. You could even do it live on Facebook. And then it can be saved, and people can click on it and listen to you talk. It could be 30 seconds, it could be a minute, it could be an hour. Doesn't matter. But you can share why you feel this is wrong. Do it. Let your voices be heard, ladies and gentlemen. We need to rise up. Okay. Another thing that you can do to help stop this madness is find out these companies. Now, we know Budweiser, we know Nike, we know Tampax, we know Target. What was the other one? There was one more. Oh, we know the LA Dodgers. Okay, we know, I just rattled off about 5 names of places you should not give your money to. If you're a beer drinker, go buy some other beer. Don't buy any Budweiser product. If you go to the department store, please go to any other department store, not to Target. If you are a baseball lover, please go to the Anaheim Angels if you're living in the in the area. I would turn off the TV when the Dodgers are on. I would turn it off. I wouldn't go until whoever's responsible for this nonsense is fired and gone. Tampax, thank God, I don't need them, but some of you ladies do. Buy some other tampon from some other maker or whatever you all use and need from somebody else. Don't give them your money. Same thing with Nikes. I knew a long time ago there was just something off with Nike, and I never really bought. I've owned one pair of Nikes in my entire life, and I got those on a really great deal. There were some cleats when I played on a softball league. That's it. That's the only Nikes I ever owned. There was just something off. I didn't care for. I didn't care for the hype. I wasn't too happy with their cleats. I didn't think they were all that great. They were overpriced. So check this out. So, I just go get whatever Adidas or whatever. And then sometime later, one of the football players, I believe it was writing a scripture on his Nikes that he was wearing. And Nike threatened him. You can't do that. Don't put any of that stuff on our shoe. And I knew it. See, I knew it. There was something wrong with them. And then Adidas stepped up and says, hey, don't worry. We're going to give you a shoe and you can put whatever scripture you want on it. So I liked Adidas for doing that. I'm not saying they're a good, solid, godly Christian company. I'm just saying that at least they were opening that up, probably just for money. But they won me. So go find another shoe. You don't need Nikes, ladies and gentlemen. You don't need Nikes. That little swoosh doesn't make it a superior shoe anyways. I mean, it really doesn't. I'm not saying they're not good shoes in that sense, the way they're constructed, but it's not a great shoe. So you don't need Nikes. So don't buy Nikes. And really, when you come across these things, and maybe if you have time, woke corporations, go Google that. Where are the woke corporations? And find some of the corporations and the businesses that are not woke and not giving into this nonsense. As a matter of fact, I want to share something with you. There's a website. No, I'm sorry. It's an app for your phone. Now, where did it go? It's on here somewhere. Oh, it's called Public Square. Public Square, and it's Public SQ. So if you want to look for it in your app store for your phone, and it's a free app, Public SQ, like one word, and it'll come up. And basically what that is you can put in your location and find all the more conservative, common sense businesses. Usually they're mom and pop stores. So if you're looking for something like, say tennis shoes, and you don't want to go into the Target store and buy the Nikes or the Tampax or whatever, look up your mom and pop place that's not caving into this nonsense. All right? And go buy from them. Support them. Build them up. That's who we should really be giving our money to. Those who are not folding to this woke garbage nonsense, this perversion. Okay, so there's ways that we can fight. And the number one way is don't give them your money. Why are businesses in business? For money. If they're no longer getting your money, then what they will start doing is they'll start figuring out or wanting to figure out where they went wrong, and then they'll fix it, and they'll come to normal people like you and me and say, what can we do to create a better image? When some of these CEOs and marketing people within these big corporations start getting fired, we're winning at that point. All right. And some of these things are starting to happen more and more and more and more and more. When Target has to have these big meetings to try to figure out how not to become like Budweiser. When Budweiser goes, well, that was some rogue marketing agents in our company, and they've all been fired now, Well, thank God they've been fired because they're ruining you. But we all know that somebody at the top okayed that. Nobody is allowed to just, from some lower level portion of that corporation, call all the distributors and the printers and the makers of the cans and everything and say, put this on there. Oh, is this okayed by the top? I am the top. Put this on there. That didn't happen. It came from the top. Okay, it came from the top. We know that. That's why Budweiser, when they came out and said that, everybody knew, no, that's garbage. We're done with this. So anyways, we can fight back without fighting. Just let your voice be heard on social media. Don't be afraid to say it. Don't be afraid to let your voice be heard. And then don't give these companies your money. Don't give these companies your money. Some of you love the LA Dodgers as far as a baseball team. I'm asking you to sacrifice. Just sacrifice for, say, maybe a whole month. Turn them off. Just completely turn them off. Some of you that are really disgusted by this, make a little video right on your phone. Have somebody, get two of you. That's all you need. Get a barbecue and, with some lighter fluid and a lighter. Put your LA Dodgers hat, your jersey, your paraphernalia on that barbecue, squirt it down with some barbecue lighter, throw a match on it and say, this is what we think of you. You're trying to send us all to hell, so I just sent you to hell. You're on fire, LA Dodgers. Goodbye. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Let our voices be heard. Let's make a distinction. Let's put something out there that says we are no longer tolerating this nonsense. Because I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. When I was a kid, I grew up with the Dodgers. We had Steve Garvey, Ron Say, people like that. Loved them. I watched the baseball games with my dad. I wanted to always play the same positions as like Ron Say. He was my hero way back in the day. And the Dodgers aren't the Dodgers I grew up with. Certainly not. That's one reason why I stopped watching sports quite a while ago. So let's send a message. We want our Dodgers back. I don't care about Target. I don't care about Budweiser. I don't care about those guys. They can just fold for all I care, And you know what? Call Walmart and say, we're done with Target, but the moment you go with this leftist nonsense BS, we're leaving too. We're going to take our business away from you. So we expect you to get it together and keep it together. Walmart, we should say that. It's time for us to use our voice, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to rise up. It's time for us to start doing something. And number one, take your dollars to people who appreciate you. And don't give it to people that hate you. Okay, so there's a lot of strange things going on in our world right now. Things that we need to be active so that we can fix. And ladies and gentlemen, the reality of it is, in the end, we're still winning. We're still winning. When these companies start losing all kinds of money and they start doing their backtracking, that just shows we're winning. So keep up the fight. Keep pressing in. But let's get louder. Let's get stronger. And let's start changing things.
Democrats are perverts.
Thank you for joining us at Table Flippers. I truly appreciate you. You can write me at gwccrobert@gmail.com. That's gwccrobert@gmail.com. Please let me know how I'm doing. Remember to pick up some of our merchandise. You can find the link at gwcclancaster.org. That's gwcclancaster.org. Until next time, be continually blessed.